Okay, let me ask you something. What if your body has been trying to talk to you your entire life? I don't mean in words, but in a totally different language, a language of feelings, of pure sensation. Today, we're going to dive into this really cool concept called somatics. And the big idea here is that this language isn't something you have to go out and learn. It's something you just need to, well, remember.
And this idea, it's captured so perfectly by this amazing character, Zoran the Dragon. Listen to this. The whole philosophy, right? It's about this massive shift in how you see things. It's not about cramming some new system into your brain. No, it's about remembering, tapping back into a kind of wisdom that we were all born with. It's already there.
So, what exactly is this forgotten language? Well, the core idea here is that our modern lives, with all the focus on logic, on thinking, on being in our heads, it's basically trained us to ignore this constant flow of information that's coming from our bodies. It's like we've put our own physical wisdom on mute. And that is what somatics is all about. It's the art, no, the practice, of remembering the stories your body is constantly telling. The real key here is to just stop treating your body like a car you drive around, like a machine. And instead start seeing it as this wise companion who's been with you on your entire journey, every single step of the way. The message here is, well, it's huge. Sensation is our first language. Think about it. That gut feeling you get before a big decision, the tension that builds up in your shoulders after a long day, according to this wisdom, that's not just random static. That's communication. It's a language that's way older, way more primal than any word you've ever learned to speak. Okay, so to understand any language, you need a vocabulary, right? Zoran gives us just that with what he calls the alphabet of sensation. And look, this isn't just some poetic, flowery stuff. It's meant to be a practical tool. So when you feel heat, it's not just about temperature. It could be the fire of an emotion, maybe anger that's looking for a way out. Tremors, not just nerves. Think of it like your body's engine, revving up, getting ready for action. This alphabet gives us a starting point, a framework to start decoding what's really going on inside. All right, this brings us to the real nuts and bolts of the practice. How do we actually do this? Well, to remember this language, Zoran lays out 3 core principles. He calls them the 3 pillars of somatics. And you can think of these as the essential tools you'll need for this journey of rediscovery. The real magic here is how these 3 pillars work together. It's like a 3-step dance. So step 1 is soma. That's the raw physical feeling. Let's say a knot in your stomach. Just noticing it. Then comes semantics. This is where you decode it. You ask, okay, what is this knot? Is it fear or is it actually excitement? You're finding the story. And finally, synkinesis. That's the action. It's the movement you take based on what you just figured out. This is how you go from just having an insight to actually creating real change. And Zoran's metaphor for this is just perfect. He's saying, look, this isn't some simple 1, 2, 3 checklist you just tick off. The body, the meaning, and the action, they aren't separate things. They're totally interconnected, like the scales on a dragon's wing, all working together to make flight possible. You can't have one without the others.
All right, so let's make this even more real. To see how these pillars actually work in practice, let me tell you the story Zoran shares about a warrior who came to him with a really strange physical problem.
So it all starts with soma, right? The physical sensation. This proud warrior, his knees ache so badly he can't even kneel before his king anymore. And immediately, his mind jumps in and creates a story. What's the story? My body is weak, it's betraying me. That's his first interpretation. But then comes semantics. The search for the real story. Zoran steps in and helps the warrior reframe the entire message. He asks, hey, wait a minute. What if your knees aren't betraying you? What if they're actually defending you? Suddenly, the pain isn't a sign of weakness. It's a physical protest. It's his body saying no on behalf of a spirit that doesn't want to bow to that king anymore. And that insight leads directly to synechesis, the action. So instead of trying to force his body into this painful, submissive kneel, the warrior finds a new way, a new movement. He creates a dance of loyalty, something that shows respect but comes from a place of dignity, not submission. And get this, by aligning his body with his spirit, the pain just vanished. He literally rewrote his physical reality just by changing the movement. Okay, so this all sounds amazing, right? Just listen to your body and it'll tell you the truth. But this brings up a really important question, one you might be thinking right now. What if the messages from our body aren't actually true? This is where we get into what Zoran calls the shadow side of somatics. Let's just sit with that for a second. Can your body actually be wrong? It's a tricky one, isn't it? I mean, if we're supposed to trust our body's wisdom, what do we do when that wisdom seems to be leading us down a bad path? Zoran's answer here is so smart. He says the body itself doesn't lie. Think of it like a perfectly honest scribe. It just faithfully writes down every single story it's ever been told. The problem isn't the scribe, it's the person dictating the story. And sometimes the source of that story is a lie. Maybe it's a past trauma or a deep-seated feeling of shame or some harmful idea you picked up from society. So the key takeaway is this. Trust the sensation, yes, but you have to be willing to question the story you've attached to it. And think about how this actually shows up in real life. If you were taught growing up that joy is selfish, does it surprise you that your body might learn to physically tighten your chest whenever you feel happy, as if it has to contain it? Or if you learned that rage is shameful, you might end up with a constantly clenched jaw or tension headaches. In both of these cases, your body is just being a good scribe. It's honestly and faithfully expressing a lie that it was taught to believe was true. Which brings us to a really surprising conclusion. Kind of flips things on its head. The first real lesson of somatics, it isn't really about learning how to listen. It's about having the guts to unlearn all the lies our bodies have been carrying around. It's not just listening. It's a process of liberation. Now, I know, that can sound like a pretty huge, maybe even overwhelming task. But the good news is you can start small. Zoran gives us some really practical, simple tools to begin this journey of reclaiming your inner fire. He calls them quick somantics. And here are 3 exercises you can literally do anywhere, anytime. First, the heart cave reset. Just place a hand on your chest, take a breath, and ask yourself what emotion is actually living in here right now. Then there's the winged stretch. Stretch your arms out as wide as you can, like you're unfurling a pair of wings. It's amazing for releasing shoulder tension and just waking up your creative side. And finally, the claw energy grounding. When you feel all over the place, just plant your feet firmly on the ground and clench and release your fists. It's a super fast way to anchor yourself in the present. These are simple, yeah, but they are such powerful gateways to start listening. And all of this, it leads to what might be the most radical idea of all, something that can completely change your relationship with discomfort. In this worldview, pain is not your enemy. In fact, it's your most loyal ally. It's the messenger that has the courage to show up and deliver the truths that your conscious mind is trying desperately to avoid. And so, we're going to leave you with a question. One that comes from this ancient wisdom but is aimed directly at you. After all this, just take a second. What is your body whispering to you right now in this very moment? Is it a tightness, a feeling of lightness, a little tremor? Whatever it is, maybe, just maybe, it's time to start listening.